Cara here, nice of you to join me. In this video we are going to be making the portrait album that goes with our landscape album series of videos. Now the idea of this came from an online tutorial that I took probably last month when we was deep into lockdown, and it was making this box. So it's a lovely box that you house your memory books in. Now this was a paid course, and the lady that does it, her name is Clare Charvill, and her website is My Creative Spirit. So if you want to go and purchase that online video to know how to make the box and her albums that she put inside it, then head over to that link. My albums these ones are all my ideas, but she does different albums in her box. So yeah, head over there, and then you've got a twofer really. So you'll be able to make two boxes. So on with what we are going to be doing, but first of all I will need to say that I'm not sponsored for this video. This video is all done by myself. So on with our video. So we're going to be making up our portrait album. Now I've made 3 of my pages already. Now they're actually there's going to be 4 pages, but online I'm only going to make the 1 page with you, and then you can go off and then make the other pages in your own time. So just run through what I've done. Now this is the album that I made previously to do this video, but I wasn't too happy with some of the pages that I'd made, or the pages that I'd made in this book. So just to take you through what I did. So this was my original portrait book that I'd done, and I'd put these 2 flaps on. Now you open this up, and this one is just decorative down here, but this one up here houses, you can put some photo mat inside there. It's a little secret pocket. And then on the back of that we just had a plain backing with nothing on it at all, so you could use that just for your journaling. And then in the top here is a little pocket to house an extra photo mat. So that was the one that I made originally, but I thought not too happy with it. So this is the page that I've actually come up with. So this page should have some string around to keep it closed. Haven't got to that part yet, so I'm not showing you with that on. So in this you open this has been my first page. So you open up the little flaps, and this becomes a photo mat, and this becomes a photo mat. Now this album you can make in any size you want to. I like to make small albums. Somebody asked me the other day about why I always make small albums. I think it's when I first started, I've got a load of 6x6 paper. So I think I worked around what products I had. So I only had 6x6, so that's what I used. I have since then got a lot of 12x12 papers, and I've made possibly up to about a 7-inch album. I enjoy making the bigger albums, but I like small albums. I don't know why, I just find them really cute, and you know, I just love them so much. So that's why I make the small albums. When we turn over onto the back, then we've just got a little pocket flap here that just gives us a little bit more space to journal on. And then in the top here, it's exactly the same as my previous one. It's got a photo mat in the top, like so. So that is the album that we're going to make. Okay, cutting your grey board. Now I'm using 2mm grey board. It's a nice weight and good weight for memory book covers. So somebody asked me about how I cut my grey board. So what I tend to use my paper trimmer. Now I have got a guillotine as well, a tonic guillotine that cuts my grey board really well as well. I like this cutting it with this because it gives me a bit more of control over how I cut it. Now I would give you a tip to use an old blade. So if you've got paper trimmer, don't throw your old blades away, keep them, and you can use them then to cut your grey board. Now I mark mine so that mine looks a little bit dirty, but it isn't. It's just the colour of the alcohol marker I use, so that I know that this one is just for grey board. Because if you use your paper blades, they will blunt within 2 or 3 cuts of grey board. So just bear that in mind. Use your old blades. Now the other tip I would say is I always use my trimmer so it's portrait style, so that I cut my cutting blade is on my left hand side. I don't know why, I think I've just always done it that way, but some people might use your trimmer that way, and again that is fine. And this is just got all the fibres because this is also a scoring board. You get all the little fibres from the paper in the notches, makes it look a bit messy. So if you use your trimmer this way, you're going to cut on the portrait side of your grey board. But if you're like me and you use your trimmer on the portrait way, then you're going to cut your grey board on the landscape side of your grey board. So we're going to need to use one piece because we're going to cut them a certain way. So we're going to cut the smallest measurement first. So we're going to cut our 4-inch measurement first. So just keep going backwards and forwards over the cut, okay? And you will find that eventually it will cut it down. It might not cut it all, but it will cut most of it, okay? So let's bring that out. So if I just move that back, and I'm just going to snap it forward like so. Now these fibres are not going to make any difference because it's going to be covered, so you're not going to see them. But if they annoy you and you want more of a perfect edge, then just snip them off or use a sanding block just to sand them away, okay, just to make them a bit more smoother. Okay, as I said, you're not going to see them, so it's not going to matter too much, but we can snip them away, and that's brilliant. So we're going to do another one of those at 4 inches. Again, just in and out. You might find your trimmer is better and will cut through the whole thing like so. Just bend it, and then the last one we're going to use that at 1.5. Okay, so that's 1.5. So we just bend that back. If you've got a craft knife, you could just use your craft knife to snip away. That actually might be a bit better, to snip away and then break them apart like so. There. That's actually given a cleaner cut. So that's 2 ways of doing it. Oh, we still need that. So sorry. Right, so we've cut then our pieces. Now we need to cut them down. So this measurement on all 3 pieces is going to be 6 inches. So 6 inches. Okay, and I'm going to use my scissors because I think that was the better way to do it. So that's 1. again 6 inches. Scissors, cut in between, and then the spine, and that then is again 6 inches. Oh, look at that. Let's cut it off perfectly. Last one, it's always the way. Okay, so that is then your 3 pieces that you're going to need to make your album. I'll just move those out of the way. Now, I use black cardstock on my album, and I've used crafts card as well. Now, the craft card that I've only got left at the minute is too thick to do for this album, so I'm going to switch to using cream. So I hope that's okay. The other thing I want to mention is the weight of card. Now, I wouldn't go any more than 150 GSM, 160 at a push. Now, if you've got higher than that, then what I would suggest you do is look at what weight your paper is and compensate. To allow you to be able to open and close your books nicely. So just bear that in mind. So I wouldn't go any higher than those. Right, so put this together. Now I've got 2 pieces here that I'm going to cut at the same time. So I've just put them together, and I'm going to put them in my trimmer, and I'm going to cut them at 8 inches. Okay, so cut them both at 8. Okay, we can get rid of that for the moment. So we're going to put these 2 together. Now I'm using a 1/2 inch score tape, and you're going to butt this score tape up as near to that edge as you can. Okay, and then just cut it off the end like so, and then just give that a good burnish down, just making sure that you've got no air bubbles in your double-sided tape. That's then going to help it to really grab. Okay, take it off like so. Now we're going to put this then over the top, and we're going to cover that line of double-sided tape. So just line them up. So I'm going to line the bottom up first and then do the top. Okay, like that, and then that shows that then you've got a nice join. Okay, it's there. It's that good you can't see it. Okay, you can see that one. Okay, so that's the join. So we're going to actually we want this join here to be in the middle of our spine from the outside. Okay, so that it looks equal, so it just looks aesthetically pleasing. So how I do that is, I'm first of all just going to draw a 1-inch line just in pencil, and that's just going to give me a guide. Okay. Next, where this join is on on your right side, you're just going to take that over. So you're just going to bring your pencil mark over and do the same on this side. Okay, bring it over so that you've got your 2 marks at the top and the bottom. Can you see that? Now if you want to, you can join them together like so. Okay, now that then is your center line on your outside. So then when we come to put our spine on, we know that that join line is going to be in the middle of our spine. So if you want to get really technical, then you'll need to mark this at 3/4 of an inch at the top and the bottom. Okay, 3/4 of an inch. and then that's going to give you your centre line. Okay, so next, double-sided tape. Now I'm going to put this on the 2 long sides and then glue in the middle. Okay, the glue is just going to help it stick sort of right, so it's not going to come apart. Now, I always, oh there we go, put it down and can never find it. So take off that, oh, double-sided, and then line up your 2 lines. Okay. Now it will go where you've put your lines across here, it is going to go just above and below those lines, but don't worry, it's just to give you a guide of, so that you get your, when you fold over your edges, it just gives you a guide so that you haven't got like one really short edge and one really long edge. So once we've stuck that spine in, we can now work our way outwards with our front and back covers. Now I'm just going to, I'm not keen on that rough edge, so I'm just going to trim that off like so. That's a lot better. There we go. So that's going to be our 2 covers. Now I'm going to use two offcuts that have come off my grey board as my spacers. Now I put them together and I'm going to just put them in the middle of between the spine and my cover to give me a nice gap, so that when I close my book I'm not going to, it's not going to crack, so it's going to give me that like a gusset allowance, so that you can move. Just setting down our foundations of our book. Now there are lots and lots of different ways of putting books together. This is just the way I like to do mine. So double-sided along the bottom, and then just glue along the sides like so. Now I'm going to just spread that out, only because with using cream card I don't want it to buckle. So get your spacers and then just butt them up to that edge. Now try and get your top and bottom as straight as you can and as level as you can, and then just press down, and then you see I've got a nice allowance in the middle there. Okay, and then do exactly the same with the other side. So either your double-sided tape on the bottom or the top, it doesn't matter. I've just put it on there because I want it to grab now, so that when we come to then turn our edges over, it's stuck, it's not going to move. So again, just putting my glue on there, just giving that a rub, and get your spacers again and exactly the same, just put them on, push them down, and then push right down. Okay. And then just burnish them in place, just give them a good old rub. Okay, now we've got this edging here, but that's okay, because we just now then need to mark from the edge of the grey board, just mark 1 inch, draw a line, and do the same on the other side, 1 inch and a line, and then that gives you your book. So just chop these off. Now you can either chop these off with your scissors or with your trimmer. It is really up to you. You're not going to see the edge, so don't worry too much about that. Right, now the corners. Now I've got a tool that, I've got a few tools in here that actually work out my corners for me. Now this comes from Etsy. It's a shop called iBook Binding, and these are brilliant to work out your edges so you can do your corners. Now they come in different sizes, so because I'm using 2mm grey board, I'm going to use my 2mm bookbind, my corner tool. So all you do, it's really easy. You just put your tool into the little notch there, into that, and then you just draw your line. Okay, go all the way around and around again, and then you just trim off those corners. Like so. Okay, so then that is then the basic of our book done. Okay, so to get to then start to get it so that it's now going to be covered, we need to use our double-sided again. Now I'm going to work from the top first, so I'm just going to put my double-sided along the top. I'm just going to go all the way around and take your double-sided all the way around on your paper. Like so. And last one. There, like so. And then I'm going to do the same on our grey board. Must have thought I said her name. Okay, so what I've done is I don't like it when you've got the double-sided tape and it goes over the edges. For the simple reason is I think it starts to stick. So I tend to go around and there we go. Like so. One more, just that one, like so. Okay, give it a good burnish all the way down. Okay, now I always do the two long sides first. You can do the two short sides, you don't need to do the, but do the same ones, the opposite sides together at the same time. So take off all your double-sided tape backing, like so. Now, I tend to go push it down, so using the grey board as your sort of the support to bend your paper, I just kind of rock it backwards and forwards, just so that we're training that paper to bend. And then the top, I just tend to try and bend down with my hands, okay, as much as I can. Then I'll change over and do this side and do the same. Now let's do this one. Let's put this together. So once you've done that, the side that you've taken your double-sided the backing off, just start to push it down, okay, so that it's now nice and stuck. Okay, then all you need to do is just really burnish those sides down. Okay, and I'm going to do the top sides as well. Now if you're using black, you may want to put an extra piece of paper over the top of your card, like so, and then burnish on the top, because black card tends to mark. Once you've done that, I'm going to move these corners in. So I'm just going to push these corners in. So you've got a tiny little bit of a corner. So I'm going to push them in. Now they're just going to get hidden with the... They will be hidden when you close them down, but it just gives that a nice, more straight finish. So I'm going to do the other long side now. Take that off, take that off, and that side, like that. And again, do exactly the same. Just push it down, using your hands on the top as a guide, and then just push down like so. Okay, and just burnish the top, okay, and the side. There we are. Then you've just got the two short sides to do. 1, 2, and I've got a piece of paper stuck on that. There we are. Okay, and do the same. So I've just started to wiggle that bottom bit down, and I'm going to wiggle this next side like so, and then I'm going to push this from this side. Okay, and then just push it down with your fingers, and it should start to grab. There we go, as we go down. That's one. And then the next one. Come on, off you come. That side. Do it that side. Okay, and again, do the same with this. Just ease it down using the edge of the grey board as your guide. And then it should just stick. Okay, like so. So then you've got some nice perfect corners. Okay, nice corners there. Okay, found the thing that I was looking for. It's just one of those squidgy things. Now what I tend to do is I put this sort of in the middle of the fold, and I just use that as my guide to push it up. And again the other side, and I just use that as my to help me to bend them out. And once they're bent, I'm just going to give them a little wiggle like so to get them nice, and so the paper stretches. Okay, like so. And then as you can see, then that is basically in the middle. So it just gives a nicer look to your book. Okay, so then that is the cover of our book done. Right, let's work on our hinges now. So you'll need some cardstock. Now you may have some cardstock left over from when you covered your outside covers, but I threw those away, so I needed to cut another piece. You need to cut this at 5.5 by 2 3/8. So that's one. And then the next one, you need to cut this one to 3 1/8. So you've already cut to the 5.5, so they both measure 5.5. The smaller one is 2 3/8, and the larger one is 3 1/8. Okay, so we're going to start on the smaller one first. Now, we're going to score along down the long edge. So you need to put the shorter edge at the top of your scoreboard with the longer edge butted to the side. And we're going to score with these measurements. So we go 1/2, 1 inch, 1 3/8, and 1 7/8. Okay, so that's 1. Then the next one, we're going to score it again along the long edge, so the short edge is butted to the top, and we're going to score with these measurements at 1/2, 1 inch, 1 3/8, 1 3/4, 2 1/8, and 2 5/8. Just there. Okay, so that's then our hinges scored. Starting with the small one, using the outside edge, you can't really see this. There we go. Can you see the line? So I'm just going to score, or I'm just going to fold those score lines. So I'm starting at the edge, and I'm just folding over that score. So turn it round and do the other side, like so, and then fold it on the next score line down, turn it round and fold it on the next score line down. Okay, so you should have your hinges looking something like that. I'm so sorry, this light is rubbish. Right, so like so. Okay, so you should end up with something that looks a little bit like that. Okay, then we're going to do the same with your other. So fold in, turn it over and fold the other way, fold the opposite end, and again, and then fold the next score line down like so, and then the next score line down. Okay, so you've folded the 2 outer edges there. You can see if I'm there, I think. Okay, so there. Don't know if you can see. You can see them now. Excuse the pencil lines. Okay, so they're the ones that you're going to fold. So you've still got 2 score lines in the middle here. So these ones here that you haven't scored yet. You haven't folded over and creased those scores. You don't need to. They are there just for a guide. And on the smaller one, exactly the same. So you've got the 2 outer scores that you score. And again, 2 outer scores that you score like so. Okay, so putting on our double-sided tape now, I'm going to use, if I can find what I've done with it, the smaller double-sided tape. I did have, okay. So this one is a 1/4 inch, okay, so I'm going to use the 1/4 inch. Now, working on which is going to be your back side, so I'm going to call the one with all my pencil marks is going to be the back. So you need to put your tape along. We'll do this first and then we'll put the tape along the outside edges. So you need to put your tape all the way along that center panel, okay, because this is what's going to stick to your book. So let me just, there we go. on the back of your other one, you're just going to put your tape along that center column, just the one, okay, like so, and take it off. Okay, so turning it over so that your all of the double-sided tape is on the bottom, you need to take this part off, and you will see that on your the one that you've done, you will see where you've scored, you've got like a center column in the middle. Now, well, the two center columns are going to match up, and that's how you find your center. Let me show you. So I'll draw a line. So you've got your score lines in the middle of here. Okay, like so. There we go. We can see that now. Well, the center score line of your smaller one, where you've just taken the double-sided tape, that's going to fit on that, in between that score line in the middle of your other hinges, your other hinge. So then that is your hinge. So okay, before we put our hinge on, we need to just cover up our grooves in our covers, just to hide that. It makes it look a lot more professional. So I've already done one, but we're going to do the other together. So you'll need some cardstock, and it needs to measure 5.5 by 1 inch. Okay, so 5.5, get that, 5.5 by 1 inch. Like so. And then you're going to score it in the middle at 1/2 inch. Okay, so you put the long end, the long side along the top of your scoreboard, and just score it at 1/2 inch. Okay. And then just crease that down like so. Move that out of the way. And just burnish that crease so that it really creases it. Okay, like so. Now mine is slightly over, but again it doesn't matter because it's going to be hidden anyway. It's just, we just want something to hide that gap. So make sure you put your double-sided tape on the mounting fold of your hinge strip. Okay, so if I turn it that way, that's the valley fold because it goes down, and then this is the mounting fold, obviously, because it goes up. So using your double-sided tape, and on the other side, okay, let's just take this double-sided tape off. 1, 2, and placing it so that the mounting fold is, if I hope that you might be able to see it, so the mounting fold, which is this side, is facing downwards. So that's going to go, you're going to position that literally by eye in the middle of that groove. Okay, and then just push both two sides down together, making sure that you've got equal gap between the bottom and the top. Okay, like so, and push down. Okay, and then just push that up like so. There we go, we've covered them up. And then this is going to go over there, and you're not going to see it, it's going to be hidden. So it kind of works out good. So taking the backing off your hinges, like so, and then again try and place that as central as you can. So let me turn that round like so. I think that is about right. There we go. And then burnish down. Okay, like so. And this is going to be covered, so you're not going to see that. So when you put your pattern paper over, I just use this piece like so, it's just going to look like it's it blends in with the background. Okay, so that's the main body of our book done. Just keep giving that a bit of a wobble. There we are. Okay, brilliant. Right, I'm actually going to leave it there, and I'll come back in part 2 and we'll make up the page and decorate the covers and things. So thank you again for sticking by me and watching this video from start to finish. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I really appreciate everybody that subscribes to my channel, and or even shows me their makes that they've made. It really is heartwarming, and it really spurs me on to do more videos. So thank you for those people that have shared all their makes that they've made with my videos so far. Yeah, please subscribe if you're not. I would really appreciate it if you would share this video on your social media. It would get the word out of my videos, so I'd really appreciate it if you would do that. Again, I'm on all social medias. The links will be in the description down below, so just click on one of those and it will take you to whichever one that you use mostly. Yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.